There is a scene partway through Bong Joon-ho's 2006 monster film, The Host, where the Park family, tired after hours of searching for Gong-doo's daughter, find a moment of rest in the family's snack bar. Here, they're able to make a dinner of what they can find and are finally able to enjoy a moment's peace. While they're eating, their missing daughter joins them, but only symbolically. For the first time I saw it, I thought this was a very sweet scene and a sign of hope. Now, after seeing the movie and thinking about it, this is not only, to me, the most important scene in the movie, but it also hits me emotionally in a way I wasn't expecting. I also find this scene perfectly illustrates Bong Joon-ho's biggest strength as a director. To better explain why, let's go back to the beginning and see what got us here. On the surface, The Host is a monster movie. A monster that is created after a coroner tells his subordinate in a US Army camp in Korea to just dump all this formaldehyde down the drain because they're dusty. These chemicals find their way into the Han River, and over the period of 6 years, it slowly mutates a fish into, well, this. Now, this does sound cartoonishly evil, but it kind of really happened. This is loosely based on real events, so that's terrifying. Anyway, 6 years later, we meet the Park family. Gong-doo and his father Hae-bong run a snack shack, and in this excellent opening we're able to learn about the family and characters through natural dialogue. Gong-doo is immature and seems to just be floating through life with no real direction, but he is empathetic and does try to be a good father. While his father seems to be trying to pick up after him, we soon meet Gong-doo's daughter, Hyun-se, who is seemingly embarrassed of her father after he couldn't even show up to her school for Parent Day, and her alcoholic uncle had to show up instead. He tries to make this up to her by showing her that he's saving up change to buy her a better phone. We're introduced to his sister, Nam-ju, as we see her on TV as a competitive archer. They watch her and cheer her on, and it's just really nice to see how proud they are of her. Gong-doo screwed up an order though, so he has to go get the customer a new one. When he meets them at the riverbank, everyone's staring at this thing hanging from the bridge. When the monster initially appears, there's this hilarious scene where Gong-doo just decides to throw a beer can in the water to see if it'll catch it, and it does. So then everyone just starts throwing stuff in the water, and then of course the monster just jumps out of the water and just starts attacking and eating people, and there's this immediate tone shift. One thing I find Bong Joon-ho particularly good at is being able to mix comedy and horror without it seeming out of place. Gong-doo's first instinct when this all starts is to immediately start helping other people, and he gets helped by an American tourist. I'm mostly mentioning the tourist because he'll be important later. And while this is all happening, Hae-dong and Hwan-sui are still watching the archery competition, where much to their disappointment, Nam-ju only gets bronze after hesitating for a moment. When they eventually clue in that there's something serious going outside, they don't know what's happening. Gong-doo goes to go save Hyun-se, and while they're running away, he slips and accidentally lets go of her. When he goes to go get her hand again, he gets the wrong girl's hand, and poor Hyun-sui is dragged off by the monster. Everybody from the attack that survived is grouped up in a nearby gym, and here's where we meet the rest of the family, who are finally brought back together under the worst circumstances possible. The alcoholic uncle mentioned earlier shows up and blames him for getting his niece killed. Understandably, tensions are a little high right now. Going back to the humor, I love this little bit where the family's grieving and reporters just come in and start taking pictures of them. And things are unfortunately going to get worse because the government shows up to give them an update. Apparently, that American tourist from earlier got a horrible infection from the monster, and since Gong-doo also fought with the monster, he must be infected too. So him and his whole family are put into quarantine. While in quarantine, Gong-do receives a call from his daughter. She's still alive. Hyun-sui is able to give him an idea of where she is, but her phone dies out shortly afterwards. Hyun-sui is trapped in the sewers hiding from the monster. She survived because the monster simply ate too much and she was regurgitated out. Gong-do tells the rest of the family and they plot an escape, which involves his father hiring gangsters as getaway drivers, also buying a sewer map and other things off them. I love the escape scene. The music fits perfectly, and they forget Namju by accident. She's just quickly walking up to the truck and they're trying to get her in. Thankfully they do escape, but Bong had to spend his life savings facilitating this. And on top of that, they are all fugitives now. In a pretty heartbreaking scene, Bong uses Gong-do's little noodle cup full of change to bribe a postcard. From here, the family starts searching tirelessly through each sewer marked on the map. While the family is searching for her, we are brought back to Hyun-seo, who continues to survive by hiding and playing dead whenever the monster shows back up to bring more bodies. Two of these bodies, one of which is thankfully still alive, are a father and son. We're introduced to these two a bit earlier as we see that they're homeless and just searching for food. Coincidentally, we see them breaking into the park snack shack and taking some food for themselves, but not stealing the money. We get this little look into their lives before they're unfortunately attacked by the monster, and as we know now, the father dies, but thankfully the boy lives. This is Seju, and Hyun-sui proceeds to protect them and they help each other. Back with the others, they're exhausted after spending all night searching for Hyun-seo and head to the snack shack. By this point, we see that despite their differences, the Park family were willing to lose everything in order to find Hyun-seo. And even now, it's only pure exhaustion that stops them. It's now that they're able to have this moment's peace where they just silently eat together. And when Hyun-seo joins them, at least in spirit, we have this beautiful moment in time you wish you could just live in forever. But as we'll see, tragically, this is the last time we'll see the whole family in one place. Early in the next day, the Park family spots the monster as it's right outside their snack shack, and they shoot it. And they keep shooting it. They're damn determined to take it out, but the authorities show up because they are fugitives, so they have to make a getaway. Bong, though, wants this thing dead, and he'll risk arrest to do so. But tragically, the rifle is out of bullets, and he dies signaling for his kids to save themselves. In a scene before this one, Bong talks about his regrets of being an absent father when the kids were younger, and how this must have affected Gong-do. Throughout the movie, we see him do anything for his kids, and he seems to be living full of regret. He dies protecting his family. Distraught, Gong-do tells his brother and sister to leave while he stays with his father's body, and he's soon recaptured by the government. After this tragedy, we're shown a news station giving us some bad news of their own. That American tourist that was helping Gong-do earlier died from the virus, and he was an army sergeant. Because of his death, the failure to capture the monster or the rest of the fugitives, the US and the World Health Organization are just going to use chemicals on the monster to kill it. Back with the Park family, Namil and Namju have split up. Namil got in contact with an old friend to see if he could get an idea of what location Hyun-sui called her father from. But it turns out the old friend is setting him up, so once he gets the information he needs to make a stylish getaway. Namil is pretty beat up after escaping. Thankfully, he was able to text his sister the location of where the phone was. Namju has been hiding in a bridge. She must have been incredible at hide and seek when she was a kid. She gets the information of where Hyun-sui should be. She gets there, and while she's making her way inside, the monster just shows up out of nowhere and she just gets knocked right into a crevice. Gong-do is being held for testing, and it is about as horrifying as you would imagine. On top of this, he overhears two of the guys talking, and he's telling his co-worker that the virus isn't even real. But that's not gonna stop them from taking a brain tissue sample from him. During all of this, Hyun-sui has been hiding away with Seju, and they've just been trying to survive. Hyun-sui has been showing a tremendous amount of calm here. It's very sweet to see them talk each other through all of this and keep each other company through such a traumatic situation. Losing a little brain tissue isn't going to stop Gong-do from escaping, and he does. He takes a hostage and steals an ambulance. Back with Namil, we see that a homeless guy has been looking over him as he's been passed out. When he gets up, he realizes that he needs to get where he's going and frantically asks him where this sewer is. The homeless guy, after a pretty rude introduction, decides to help him because he's bored. Gong-do races his way to the sewers. Meanwhile, Hyun-sui has been making a plan to escape and has put a bunch of clothes together as a makeshift rope. She's gonna go get help for Seju, who has started to feel sick. The monster seems to be sleeping, so she's gonna run up its body, jump onto the makeshift rope, and escape. But it wakes up. By the time Gong-do gets to where his daughter was, she's not there anymore, and when the monster shows up, he realizes that she's been eaten. He chases after it. Namju regains consciousness and goes to go shoot the monster, but Gong-do stops her because Hyun-sui's in there. We see that the army has carted out their weapon and tells everyone to evacuate, despite the rather sizable protest. When the monster comes back onto land, the government just decides to haphazardly drop the chemicals on it. This weakens it. Without a second thought, Gong-do uses this opportunity to open the monster's mouth and pull out Hyun-sui, who is holding Seju. She was protecting him, and in the process, died. This was devastating. The monster wasn't even really taken out. It gets up after a moment and tries to run away, but thankfully the Park family, along with Namil's homeless friend, set it on fire and Gong-ju impales it with a rod. The ending to this movie is so tragic, but kind of bittersweet, as we see that the family has once again separated. But there is some brightness to come of this, as Gong-do has adopted Seju and is still running his father's business. Those horrific events will never quite ever leave him, but he seems to have found peace. Bong Joon-ho has this ability to make you laugh and smile at one scene before breaking your heart in the next one. This is thanks to his sincere and grounded characters and storytelling. Nothing ever feels manipulative or out of place. I picked this scene in particular because not only is it followed by a major death, but it seems to be his way of letting the Park family, along with the audience, say goodbye. On that somber note, thank you for watching. If you liked this video, like and subscribe, or leave a little comment. Either way, I'm just happy you stopped by. For my last video of the year, I'm going to do my favorite movies of 2024, and I'm really excited to show them to you. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.